IVM.
कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Cyrus says the show, I don't know who would name their own show with their own name. I mean, it just sounds wrong. This is my choice. It's not done by anybody else. I did it myself. When Amit asked me what should we call it, I mean, could have called it Rupesh, Parag, Prakash, Janvi. No. As you can hear, Priya has already interfered. She's already announced her arrival. She's not trusting me to give a good introduction. But Priya, might as well then, since you're there, I might as well open the screen and I'll share my rant with you straight off. Before we introduce you, this is your second time on the show, so please.
Yes, I know. I'm thrilled. I can't decide whether I'm more thrilled, less. I mean, I'm truly thrilled to be here twice.
No, you were about to be not so nice. Why did you stop? You said, I can't decide whether I was more thrilled or less thrilled. Please say that. Please don't be nice.
You know, it's conditioning. I have to be nice now. Sorry. I am extremely thrilled, honored, delighted to be here, Cyrus. You've called me twice. I can't believe it.
Yeah. No, the person who called you hasn't even turned up. Our producer, Silvery. Typical Indian male. He's planned the whole thing and not turned up. This happens all the time. It happens in government. And we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Don't you think that if everyone around you is getting smart, you better be smarter? Hey there, I'm the traveling professor Siddharth Deshmukh and I'm back with season 2 of my podcast to make you smarter. Smarter with Sid. What's this season's focus about? Well, it's about 10-minute nuggets that will make you stand out at work. It's time to go from smart to smarter. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday and become smarter with Sid.
So today, obviously, let's reintroduce you for those who may just watch this episode first. You've been teaching constitutional law, international relations, Indian political thought. That's
a
very
lot.
short.
Yeah.
No,
And do I really teach all that?
You do. And feminist theory.
Guilty.
But I must say, these sound really colorful subjects as against what I would have had to listen to in college. And,
such as? What did you study in college?
Well, psychology of adjustment, it sounded so bland. It turned out to be great fun. For example, I'm just trying to think of the subjects outside literature, history, whatever. Oh, well, I did political science. I was thinking of becoming a mantri. And because they all have parking. And I just love the fact that you can, in Mumbai, drive anywhere. And the red light comes on, even though it's supposed to not come on. And then they always have these strange people in safari suits who behave like elephant trunks with their hands.
And the dark glasses.
Yeah. The dark glasses.
Yeah. You're missing out, Cyrus. You're missing out on so much.
Is it wrong for me to have dreams where I beat them to pulp? I'm like the Hulk. And for no reason whatsoever, I pluck them out of the car and I bang their heads against the wall for hours at a time. For no reason. A person I've never met in my life. Is this malicious and mean?
But I think the big grin sort of gives it away. I don't think you can do that. I think it's just too nice. You just pretend to be horrid and you want to be the Green Hulk now.
They'd probably say they will risk a conversation with me, then they'd rather I beat them. So yeah. Hey, listen, you're cutting the intro about your greatness.
Sorry, I'll be quiet. Sorry.
So feminist, because I just quickly, we shouldn't waste time on this, but it's just intriguing. So there's constitutional law, international relations, Indian political thought, and feminist theory to undergrads in Zakir Hussain Delhi College, University of Delhi. So that is the feminist theory is a formal subject or is just tongue-in-cheek?
Why would you say
I hope I haven't poked the bear. I poked the bear.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to turn into a bear.
Damn it.
No, but these are courses. I plead guilty. I have warped young minds for many years now, and I will continue to do so. And yes, feminist theory is a legit course. It is.
We discussed this the last time also. Please, I'm a feminist, not by choice, but out of fear. Sometimes that's also okay, isn't it? In the country we live in, some things are done by love and choice and some by fear. What can you do? And before that, you also taught at Ramjas College, 2009, 2011. Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to go into your entire biodata once again?
No, I think you could spare. Yeah, no, I think we could do without it.
We discussed the princely states, all that the last time. So we can, those of you who are interested, Priya is a very, let's say, versatile sort of, not just an academic.
I like how you came up with versatile. Yeah, it's like such a bland word. Versatile is you could just describe everything with it. He is so like versatile. It means nothing.
You're finding problems with everything I say. And
so just adjectives, just adjectives.
My intent was actually, you are a feminist. God, are you related to? I'm getting scared now. Yeah. So, no, my versatile, I take that back. What I mean is that, you can't be pegged in as a one-dimensional sort of academic or
No,
writer or
many
anything like that.
dimensions. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, there's plenty to it. And please, I'm trying to get them to look at the earlier podcast, whose date I can't remember, with Priya Mirza, where we talk about her book, etc., and other things, including princely states and wars of succession and how they were robbed of their states or not. Okay, so that's it. She's a PhD, she's a MPhil, she's an MA, every single degree of hers is more than anybody in IVM's. So that's where we stand. And then there's a little bit about, which we mentioned last time as well, about the fact that you like cycling, you're chess enthusiast, prefer the outdoors to indoors, you like to travel, love cats and dogs, and the occasional snail. Did we talk about the snail the last time?
No, I think we could start there. Did I say snail or snake? I can't remember now. But yeah, I think both of them. But I
Yeah,
never had.
snail likha hai, SNAIL.
This has to be somebody who's probably edited it, and this is their idea for prank. No, no snails. Certainly no snails.
So you say you're innocent. Some idiot has jumped in
Yeah,
and put snail in.
This I plead not guilty. Yeah, I plead guilty to teaching. Yes, I traumatize them every morning. But snails, no.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go into a snail space for the rest of this show. This will go really slow. We'll discuss chess if we have time. I love chess. Okay. Now, this whole webisode is dedicated to, well, we want your expertise. You're an expert commentator here and you're going to help educate us about the Constitution of India. We've got some bullet points we'll go to, but please freewheel as much as you can. I did this small thing. It's actually gone viral. I did it in 2016 where we love to do these bits for our TV show where we look at the sense of civics and political understanding, especially in Mumbai. Very Mumbai specific. I think Delhi's a little better. So we go and talk to, and these are college kids that we spoke to about Republic Day. And simple things like what is Republic Day, when is Republic Day, who framed the Constitution, just the obvious basic things, not in-depth Republic Day, explain what it means to you personally, nothing like that. And we got such ridiculous answers. So
I'd love to know, what do they say? Like, what is the most...
One guy said Republic Day is Thursday. That was the answer. I wasn't trying to be facetious. It was actually like every year on a Thursday they celebrate. That was his point. I mean,
so they just amusing. If not alarming.
It's not ignorant. They're disconnected. Okay. They couldn't remember the Prime Minister's name. This was 2016. So we had the same Prime Minister. They couldn't remember. There was this is South Bombay College. Well, two colleges in a lane that we visited anyway. So it was great fun from a humor point of view. But after some time, it was a little scary because I realized that even my generation was like that. There's just no political consciousness of any kind, no political awakening, no interest. We just live in Mumbai disconnected lives. Maybe not in Delhi and maybe not in Cal and maybe not. Shouldn't say this for the entire country, but I'm talking about urban youngsters from my part of the locality or whatever. It seems to have been the same for the last 30, 40 years. Priya, so would you like to make any comments on that? I think Delhi's a little better. Is that fair to say?
I like how you're constantly trying to suggest that. I'm not too sure. I think people, I think the average person is not too interested in what's happening in Parliament or general affairs.
But no idea about Republic Day, like what it vaguely is that it's forming a republic away from a monarchy, whatever. Some sort of understanding, nothing, zero. Then coming up with all kinds of things, trying to understand the word public and explain that. It's hilarious. All right, let's start in the beginning. Let's talk about the Constitution. Now, going all the way back to when Mr. Ambedkar framed it and all that, we've got a couple of questions which is it true that he wanted to burn the Constitution? Where did that come from?
People just love these symbolic acts of violence, and Ambedkar wanted to burn the...
It's just dramatic,
it's true. It is dramatic, true. And it is a little shocking also from somebody who drafted it. So Ambedkar was on the Constitution Drafting Committee, which was the core group which drafted it. But the reason why he said it was much later, he said it much later once the first democratic elections had been held. And the reason why he said it was because he was slightly disappointed in the way Nehru was managing affairs and how the Constitution itself was being sidelined by the government itself. So what happened was, if I could just tell you in brief, was
let me give us an example, because my viewers, like the people who interviewed, need to start right at the beginning. Sorry.
So let's start with the First Amendment. And the First Amendment to the Constitution is passed by the Provisional government. So the first elections haven't been held. And because there are these constant challenges to the right to equality, property, there was this whole, Nehru's ambition, dream for economic equality. And this First Amendment is pushed through. But I know you all are falling asleep, so let me just come
No,
to
no, no, we're
the
not.
exciting
Please
bit.
tell us. Master,
Uh,
teach us. I'll talk to you in Kung Fu terms. Master, teach me Kung Fu. Yeah.
I I don't know what the appropriate response is to that. But
Yeah.
the First Amendment
The
basically
monks never,
creates
the
this.
response is not with the voice, it's more with the hand. So you just have to
Oh,
give a
so what?
gesture. I'm so sorry to stop your
Oh,
flow. Please.
no, no, no. Used to it. So the First Amendment created this ninth schedule, and what's interesting about the ninth schedule is that whatever is put in the ninth schedule, none of the constitutional provisions can be used to challenge it. So it became like a secret pocket, which was immune to what was guaranteed in the constitution. So that was one, and then there was, of course, the Hindu Code Bill, which Ambedkar thought was very regressive because it denied women rights to property, and that was something which he felt keenly about. So couple of things, yeah, that's why he said. But yeah, again, dramatic.
Can we go into that Hindu code bill for a second? What is it exactly?
Before independence, actually, this whole movement reform began to codify what it means to be Hindu and codify personal laws, so marriage, divorce, property, succession, all of that. And this began in 1943 when a committee was being set up. But after we became independent, this was taken up again. But this was a very volatile issue because if women, for example, should Hindu women have the right to divorce? Now, this was taken up in parliament. Should women have the right to property? Are they in fact, horror of horrors, equal to sons, like our daughters equal to sons? So these were touchy issues, and in certain areas, especially property and succession and marriage, women were denied their equal rights to men. So this was amended much later in 2005. So till 2005, women
What?
were not co-parceners. So yeah,
What
so
are you saying?
they were not granted rights to co-partnership. So they were not
If I had just
co-partners.
married earlier, I wouldn't have to share anything with my wife. What the hell? Why the
Okay.
God?
Oh
Look
my
at
God.
this timing. Oh, it's horrible.
What,
But
Cyrus? You got it all wrong. Yeah.
Priya, I'm going to ask you a question from my childhood. Okay, that sounds vulgar, but you know what I mean? There's this term I remember when we were studying civics, ultra vires, the Constitution, which is basically against the Constitution. Am I right? So
Yeah.
there are some obvious things which are against the Constitution, which I don't understand. Baba Sahib Ambedkar obviously is talking about specific things where very clearly, they seem to be against any human idea of what is normal in society or, just in any just society, or overtly just one, just normal one. But we go back to smaller things that affect my little world and our little world. And I was, like, for example, during this pandemic, the fact that they would ask me to take my dog back inside the building. I mean, I feel, how can the Constitution not guarantee my right to walk my dog? I mean, it doesn't specifically do that, but it vaguely does do that, giving me the right to a certain normal life, and I felt that, this under the guise of Article 144 or whatever, they just stripped us of any democratic rights. And I find this it's something I'm going to, till I die, I'm going to discuss with people. I find that Indians did not react well to this, this oppression. They just accepted it in this middle class way that, they let them shout at us. They didn't question ever. We didn't want to ask them, why do we have to go back? We just accept the stick. And it's almost with my worry is, are we just DNA wise not right for democracy and not right to understand the Constitution is bigger than anything else, and that if it's clearly and ultra vires the Constitution, we must stand up?
Well, DNA. So can I start from there? So incidentally, there is a DNA technology bill pending in Parliament right now, which actually which actually authorizes the state to collect DNA in a particular crime scene. And the interesting bit is that if the charges are below 7 years, then the suspect's consent is to be taken. But if the crime is something more serious, then the suspect's consent is not required. So there is, in fact, when it comes to the merging of technology and the state, we're living in very murky times. But yeah, I think when the pandemic began, what's really horrifying is that the state thought, or the government thought, that we could actually beat the pandemic out of.
Yes.
Dande.
I'm glad you understood this. Yeah.
Sometimes my brain works. Yeah, it does. But
no,
yes,
it's not that. I'm wondering why the elite and the academics and all, nobody was talking about the fact that why are they pushing us around so much in Europe? And you're seeing, Djokovic is a horrible example to give, but it's somewhere from there. No, it's from the idea of democracy and egalitarianism and an idea of, equality and righteousness, if you want, indignation sometimes, rightly or wrongly. That they're like, do not tell us what to do. Do not force us to stand in line. And why don't we have that? Let's not get to what is right or wrong in terms of for society. I'm just talking about the idea of standing up for yourself, because that seems to be a big problem. The sycophancy of India, where the big man says something and everybody kowtows. I'm just so scared about that.
Yeah, I think we're a fearful lot, and I think you're absolutely right. We were not indignant. We just like accepted very coolly, like, yeah, yes, lockdown. Oh, Parliament's not in session. Great, no problem at all. Or we're just going to invoke emergency clauses. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no opposition at all. But if you look at it, we are quite an accepting lot as a people, isn't it? I mean, all the parliamentary
I mean, look at
mishaps.
arranged marriages, Priya. Some of the
Oh.
women have put up with such crap. Go on, go on, go on. Ignore me. Yeah.
But yes, I think the pandemic just allowed the state to do exactly what it likes. It imposed 144, and again, stepping out was not the problem. It was just people meeting and being contagious. But still, it was don't step out of the house, you can't get out, and this whole vigilante groups which swung in everywhere, ki bahar nahi jana hai, and reporting
Vigilante, you
people.
call them. I call them the building panchayat, who are just going out of their way to chamcha the government. It's almost like the big powerful person has told me. So my
Yeah.
psychophantic gene says I must push this agenda with everybody else. Don't look out of the window.
Mhm.
Don't walk your dog. Don't go out. I mean, it's just what really upset me is why isn't anyone trying to say, hey, don't push us around. We're all in
Yeah.
this together, but there's no need to push us around. And
But I also think that's like, for example, if you look at what the Prime Minister said just yesterday, which is that we're forgetting our duties. We're so dying to do our duties that even if it comes at the cost of being trampled and kicked around, we're like, okay, but we're dutiful. Duties come first. So I think there's also this other thing unleashed in a certain
you're
set
right.
of people that
you're right. You're right. I didn't think of it from
rights,
that.
not rights, but yeah, zimmedariyan hai hamari. It's our duty to do this. And
Kartavya, farz. No, you're right, because that bit is also there, that the righteousness angle came into the sycophantic community, and it partnered together well, and they felt that people around felt that, okay, this is the right thing to do, and in that moral right zeal that they got, they started telling us off on the WhatsApps and all that. I saw you without your mask for 4 seconds when you sneezed or whatever. It became, I mean, I don't know if you went through this, but in Bombay it was ridiculous in that 2020 period. It's much better now. Now the pettiness has stopped. But that pettiness, that finger pointing and all, I got really, and it all boils down to why we're talking about the constitution. It all boils down to the constitution. Nobody looks at the constitution and says we have the right to, a certain amount of secular, socialists, whatever those 6 S's are, which I can't remember, but which basically tell you that we can live equally, right, in a normal way, without feeling under or overprivileged. Of course, that's impossible in South Mumbai, from where I come from. Sorry about that. That just kills it completely.
No, but my point is that forget about the constitution, because it may not be written in the constitution that you have the right to walk your dog. It may not be written. I mean,
it may not be written, it's not written in those specific terms. But the right to have exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a spirit which is unwritten. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a small thing, I know, but it's very symbolic for me. So I'm drawing a line in the sand on it, because again, we're not revolutionaries at Srinagar or Kargil or somewhere like that. We're here, and for us, this is the first time we tasted what it's like to be oppressed in Assam or Kashmir or Arunachal or whatever. When they shut you down and
the surveillance.
The surveillance. People tell me they're watching you with
Arogya Setu. Yes, download it.
That also. That was such a why? Why do you have to show that? What is it going to do with anything?
So I think the great loss is a word which is not mentioned in the constitution, but is, being corroded, is consent, which is whether you see the Aadhaar card, whether it is this Arogya Setu, like everything is, enmeshed into this mandatory, voluntary thing where you don't know whether it's mandatory or voluntary, but you just bloody well have to do it.
No, you're right. Consent. Again, you came up as that's why you're the teacher, and I'm God knows also out, not even in the class. But again, in Maharashtra, again, I can't speak for Delhi because Kejriwal's gone berserk. I think he's more interested in Goa right now, and he closed the city finally after
Punjab,
yeah, really. But here they've got this new thing that because everybody's turned to the home testing, the elite have turned to the home testing. Actually, not just the elite. Everybody who can afford it have got the home testing kits, and they're doing that. So the government's central and state governments were going wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Go and do it yourself. And if you're not too bad, just stay at home for 3-4 days, test again, and then come to work. And that's what people have been doing. But now they've gone and said in Maharashtra that you have to show your Aadhaar card so they can mark. The government has come up with this idea. The mayor, in fact, in Mumbai said, show your Aadhaar card so they can mark you. So suddenly again, it's almost like you're doing something wrong. Like you've taken the kit, so that means you should be. You start getting that fear. That fascist sort of undertone is there immediately. Why? It's like me going and buying a Coke or whatever, Coke as in the drink. Please, Priya, it's not that kind of show yet.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Isn't it a bit too much? The Aadhaar card and this and that. For on the one hand, you're trying to say wink, wink, nudge, nudge, do it at home. Don't panic. We're on top of this. On the other hand, you start saying, okay, we need your list, your phone number, where you are, your Arogya Setu, all this.
I know I think the loss of consent is something really troubling. And the whole point is that we still don't, I mean, we got through, I mean, Aadhaar was illegal to begin with. Then the Supreme Court sat on it for 6 years and finally legalized it. And now we have to use it. But even in spite of all, I mean, despite all this time passing, we still don't have a data protection bill. So the government's taken our data. Our data's out there any which way. But it
And
hasn't
now's
had
not
the
a good time.
time to.
Sorry to interrupt, Priya. Now's not a good time to discuss it because they're saying it's a pandemic. So that's gone. Exactly what you mentioned now goes in the back burner. It is not a good time because now the world is
Yeah,
crippled
yeah,
and we got to,
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, when is it a good time? As you
I
said,
know.
the data, everything about Priya Mirza is out there, and everything is not, I mean, you have done the odd jugaad with the carpenters, paying under the table or, FSI claiming in Delhi. I mean, this happens all the time. No, but come on. I mean, the
Yeah, there
right to
is
privacy
this.
is there in the Constitution, for God's sake. Again, I'm saying we'll find the basic tenets of the Constitution. A moron like me know the sense of freedom, the sense of, that, okay,
Yeah,
we never had this fear. This is not a Pakistan
absolutely.
or North Korea or anything else. This is India. We have all kinds of problems, but we still have a sort of free and fair air. And during the
Yeah,
pandemic, I felt that being curtailed. That's
it
all I
is.
want to
It
say, and
is.
I'll
It
keep
is.
quiet.
I won't believe you, frankly. No, but I think the more alarming thing is, which is that on March 23rd, Parliament was adjourned. This is 2020.
Hmm.
And the world over, parliaments or legislative assemblies were actually on attendance. They figured out how to meet virtually. They followed COVID
So
protocols. But our
they rose
parliament,
to the occasion, is what you're saying,
yeah,
and we,
yes, thank you. Yes,
yeah,
us for
yeah,
putting it so elegantly. Yes, it rose to the occasion.
yeah.
But we in 2020, when we wanted our government to answer questions, to make decisions, so 2020 has had the lowest number of days that Parliament has been in session. And can you guess how many days? I'll give you
12.
options. Oh, no, it's not that bad. 33. So 33 days in a year where we wanted Parliament to function and legislate and deliberate, and that's not happened.
So we didn't go online. So we went online.
We
Parliament.
didn't go online. No, we didn't. There's no reason why we didn't go online. I mean, the
The
courts went online.
the IT
But
capital of the world, by the way. In every other way. I mean, just look at people on their phones. Nobody in the world is like us in terms of
yeah,
usage
totally.
of
Yeah,
IT.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Sorry.
then,
Sorry.
yeah, but yeah, we could have gone online. It would have been a great way for Parliament to convene. But no, it
They
was
just saw,
just,
wait, not go to work. Let's just call it out for what it is. ठीक है,
yeah,
काम क्यों करना है अभी? Pandemic. And if
yeah,
I die, the country
crazy.
will be in tatters. That's true. I'm speaking
Yeah,
as a
but I mean, that's inexplicable. So we've accepted that. We've accepted a prime minister who hasn't had a press conference, a real press conference in
yeah.
all these years.
Yeah,
So,
talking to and not being asked. This is a different
yeah,
dynamic altogether. Yeah,
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. I want to podcast. I think I should no more guests. I'll just talk to. That way it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
one way
just
traffic.
give Gyan
Yeah,
Vani and
yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, just tell people what you think.
And
And
I've learned from the best. I'll hold my pauses. I repeat the line. I look into this camera and that camera. I do all that.
yeah,
It's all
yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you're spot on about all this. I'm so glad that I can, kindred spirit, because a lot of people from my class of society didn't understand that. I got in a clash in the building chat with a guy who said, "Oh, then vote for your government and do it your way and all that." I said, what are you talking about? We're in the
But
middle
the
of a
point is
crisis.
that
I'm talking
he's
about freedom.
hugely popular, isn't it? I mean, these are two coexisting realities. He is hugely popular, but he also
But but but
isn't
but
very
but, but that comes
democratic.
back to
And
our first point, which is the need to be a sycophant and just to worship power
yeah,
and not
yeah,
to think
yeah,
of. This is what I'm asking you in our DNA. Do we lack the gene? We've not had a revolution. We have the disparity of the world in income. When you look at the class disparity of income
yeah,
across
yeah.
the country, not one revolution. No other country in the world has had this. We just showed a video in another podcast of a lady in Indore, upper class lady whose car was scratched by a papaya fruit guy, a fruit wala moving his hand cart. Okay,
I like the
scratches on the
specifics
side.
of papaya. Okay.
Well, I'm trying to put it together. A better spokesperson than me would have been eloquent, as you sarcastically put it. But this is
I
me now.
wasn't, it was very genuine.
Yeah, if it's cricket or dogs, it flows my head. But papaya. I mean, first say fruit, and and this woman was a real idiot kind of lady at the end of the day. I mean, shouldn't say that. Maybe she regretted her action. But to cut a long story short, she threw the papayas. She assaulted him. She threw the cart. All in a fit of pique and anger, like an entitled, angry old person. But it just, the class disparity was the problem. It just made us look worse. Like us and them, and us
Mm-hmm.
behaving badly. Us with the car, us with the flat. right there, and this poor guy, toiling away in the sun with a small cart and few papayas. So I'm just saying that we've gotten away with.
I like.
I killed the moment. I'm sorry. You're right. As I
like
said,
how
a few
this-
papayas. Yeah, I killed it. Yeah, no Charles Dickens there. That's for sure. Yeah,
No, I
try
like to
Yeah, I'm so
indicate
God.
class
Yeah.
antagonism. This is the story.
I apologize. So never again
No, I loved
use
it. I
me
loved it. No, no.
to underline the disparity and difference, because I just kill the moment. You can't do
No,
that.
you didn't. No, you nailed it. You
But you
nailed
must
it,
see,
Cyrus. You nailed
Priya,
it.
see this video and you'll see what I'm saying. It makes you cringe a little bit, because it's like, and it could have been one of us also. Look at the way we behave. And yet, there's no revolution. Yet nothing really
Yeah.
happens. You know what I'm saying? People just accept their lot. Is it karma or the ingrained caste system which Ambedkar tried to fight, or what is it? That we just allow them to just jump all over our heads. Shut the parks. Why did he shut the parks in Mumbai? There's no
Yeah,
need to
but I
shut the
think
parks. They're
also,
open. Priya, they're
yeah.
open. I don't understand any of the logic here. And again, nobody asks any questions. All the old people are asking me in the lane, why can't we go for a walk and all that? But no one takes any action. We should be standing outside
There's
the chief
this
minister's house.
disgruntled acceptance, like chalo, chalo, theek hai type,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You're
Yes, but I
welcome.
think the most, a lot of stuff happened at a very subterranean level. So you're talking about class antagonism. So our constitution gives us a set of assurances as far as labor is concerned, as far as minimum wages are concerned. But during these last 2 years, the government has codified around 46 labor laws which affect compensation, salaries, wages, leaves, all of that, and has come up with a new set of labor codes. Now, but what's really alarming about these are that for a nation which went on strike to win its freedom, under the new labor codes, we will no longer have the right to strike. In fact, there will be a penalty
What?
so those are the new labor codes which are going to be.
How can we invented striking?
Yeah,
The Americans
true.
think highly of us because of striking. Until, of
Who
course, we
cares
saw
what they
movies
think
like
of us? I
Samaria.
mean, it's. I mean,
I do.
imagine
I have
Mahatma.
relatives.
I see. And okay, just relatives. Okay.
Just relatives. No, I'm very
Okay.
happily married. Oh, well, married. Happily or not.
I didn't
Yeah.
ask for but okay. Now that you
Our
mentioned
relationship is like the government and the people here. I just don't ask any questions. I accept my lot. That's the way it is. And I smile from time to time. Yeah.
and
And I vote
wave
for
and
her
stuff.
again. Every time it
And you
comes
talk
up.
about okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine not being able to strike and
I can't believe
basically
that's true, but that's too endemic. That doesn't make sense. Because that's the one thing.
I like the small, yeah, true. It is alarming. And so the new labor code, you would think that 46 laws are going to be codified, some sort of thought would be given to it, but no, it's just like shoved through parliament. So parliament has also become like you just like ram it through and ta-da, you have a law, let's celebrate, that sort of a thing. But yes,
No, but this is very scary.
It
Because
is.
again, you're clipping the wings more and more. You know what? The way you're seeing it is like they're just slowly shutting the doors. They're shutting the doors.
Yeah,
And then the freedom fire will never burn brightly again.
True.
We're joking and being flippant, and I'm an obnoxious idiot and saying things all in the wrong order. But I fundamentally, I'm very emotional about this. I really, am I the only one seeing the light? Sometimes I can't understand why
No.
people do not realize that the threat to freedom is the biggest problem in this pandemic in countries like ours. I mean, nobody was worried about that. Look how easily they took away your power, they took away your life, they took away your choice, they took away your consent, as you said, your privacy, tell you what to do, talk down to you. Like, what is going on? I mean, Kim Jong-un seems nicer at times, Don't you expect that from him? Nothing more, you're trained that way. So I'm really worried.
But I think there's something there, isn't it, that we don't expect too much. Maybe that something's wrong with that. But I think we've forgotten how to expect more, demand more, and expect a government to be accountable. But we don't seem to be. We, as in there does seem to be this apathy and this getting away with it. Like government seems to get away with practically anything. So.
But there are reasons for that. One, of course, we've discussed threadbare, but there's also a lack of knowledge, which is what I should have been talking about in this podcast. We nearly finished halfway, unfortunately. And lack of knowledge about can you take us, for example, let's look at the preamble, just briefly, of course. I mean, it is a preamble anyway. So what is the basic idea of our constitution, just without going into every nitty-gritty detail? What does it give us? What do we get?
It's a promise. The constitution is a promise that these things will be delivered to you. And there is a hope that institutions will enforce those. So our judiciary, for instance, is expected to think about the constitutional assurances, vision of all those wonderful words of justice and liberty and fraternity and dignity. So I think one thing which you clearly very concerned about is the loss of dignity as well, right? And that's
Yeah,
clearly spelled out in
coming
the
from me, yes,
Constitution. Yeah.
odd, but yes, yeah. Yeah, I was just stunned at the fact that people like us who are educated enough, or one would think well read enough to appreciate that there's a thing like freedom. Some people don't seem to be born into a non-freedom philosophy, but I would just think that they would panic a little bit about the way we were being pushed around, and not being able to think for yourself, and being other people deciding without even going to parliament. Decisions are being made.
Mhm.
God knows where they were working from, who was
No,
making these decisions.
but I think it's easier to blame citizens. But why blame us? I mean, we expect the government to be
Because we're like
accountable.
lamb, like sheep, rather. The sheep quality is horrible. I love animals, but it's just horrible. I fought with so many people in the 2020 period where they're just always trying to, no, we must do this, we have to do this, everybody will die. No, let's just there's a price. There's a line at the end of the day as how much you're going to take. You might as well die.
Mhm.
There's no way to live, Priya. No way to live. Don't judge by my career. I'm a man with dignity. Yeah. No, coming back to the preamble for a second. So, for simple things like, I mean, you think that the constitution is above. I mean, it's very clear to everyone, so that they don't allow a Muslim tenant in a building, but they won't say that.
Mhm.
These kind of things have carried on. So much for
Yeah,
secularism,
it's the
right? To
unstated
exploitation,
actually. Yeah.
underage people, wrong, whatever, to hiring who you want, nepotism, all that is fair game. But the one thing that I thought, the right to equality, the sense that that the government is not really a fascist government. We joke about it, but not really. There's a democratic
Mhm.
process, etc., etc., etc. That's always been my bugbear, my biggest problem now after the pandemic. So my point to
अच्छा,
you is, what makes you
उससे
think?
पहले you were okay?
Usse pehle, I was hoping that we're being critical, but we are some sort of what do you want to call it, a third world democracy, whatever. There's some sense of democracy. But
Mhm.
now my worry is that uske baad, this pandemic ke baad,
Mhm.
do they, having tasted power, do the authorities, the bureaucrats and the politicians say, what the hell? These guys are all scared of us. We can do what we want. Why do we have to bother? Just say Article 144, go home for 2 days, change the election
So
dates.
that's your nightmare. Yeah, it's like a tiger
Well,
tasting blood, isn't it?
well,
Yeah, we
yeah,
can get
that
away with
that and
this.
that and Virat Kohli giving up captaincy, but I don't suppose this is the right forum for that. So
Yeah, me certainly not. No,
I'll
nothing
save
about
it for
cricket.
another day. It keeps me up at night. Uh,
But what do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm worried that they've been, it's the same reason why the Kasais get hung and all when UP gets a certain government. It's not exactly the government doing it. It's just that you sort of, given power and credence to a group of people who then feel they can do what they want. So it's the same thing. I'm
Mhm.
worried about dealing with the policeman, the postman, or whatever. These people, it's
Basically,
like,
impunity. Yeah.
yes, where they feel you can't fight back. Because you couldn't talk back to them. They
Mhm.
were shouting on the loudspeaker. They wanted to put my wife and me in lockup and all. For what? Because we were arguing about walking the dog. Literally, the argument
Oh,
was like, "Kutta ko andar le lo, ghar pe kar lo." So I tried to explain to him कि कुत्ता घर पे नहीं करेगा. Because that's the
yeah.
nature of the animal. Not to explain to him that they won't mark their own territory. It will be beyond
Mhm.
the home territory. But the guy just wouldn't listen. And there's no
Yeah.
question of Tamiz talk or trying to understand or put
No,
your hand around
no,
a guy and
no.
say, guys, please help me. I was just doing my job or whatever. If they did that, one would probably back off also. But it's never
Yeah.
that. It's just talking down and nasty, and and already
And
people are worried and
snarling and
upset,
sneering and
snarling,
all of
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then of course in my head, then my petty side is, if I could get him alone for 5 minutes, surely, but how do I get him alone? There's just,
Yeah.
the constitution doesn't allow you. You can get the government servant alone for 2 minutes, so you can whack him as much as you can. Unless of course he's stronger than you, then make sure you take your mom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got to take a break because I've been talking and you're not answering my questions. Thank God. But there's one, as we go to break, there's one more thing which I'd marked, which I wanted to talk about, which is specifically because I brought it up, meat protection, cow slaughtering laws mentioned in the Constitution. Are there safeguards in the Constitution to allow all communities to,
Yes, go ahead.
to eat their whatever, to have their own?
Yeah, now that's a nice question. That's a good, juicy, delicious question. Precisely
Yeah.
because
Hence, I didn't even
when
word it. Yeah.
so with in a section on the Constitution, which is not to be legally enforced, by the way, cow slaughter has been set out to be banning cow slaughter, regulating cow slaughter has in fact been set out to be something which the state can do if it would like to, but increasingly what one eats has become like a politically explosive issue. A, because it's in the constitution, and B, because a great number of people feel that eating beef is a terrible thing to do. So yeah, so that plus
Now I'm confused. So the constitution vaguely allows each state to take a mandate on their own vis-a-vis cow slaughter, and it's
vaguely in
justified
the
and
sense
backed
that
by the
it's under,
constitution.
yeah, it's sort of in a section called the directive principles, which is like, grand ambitions of the state, which also includes assuring minimum wages, for instance. But that we're not too concerned about. But we are concerned about cow slaughter. And for example, prohibition, also again, one of those things which are in that. So yes, it is
Okay,
up
but
to
then
the
I
state.
put it this way: then won't it conflict with right to trade, which is also in the constitution, and right to ply your trade rather, which would be as a Kasai, this is my trade, and there's a whole caste or community, however you want to call them, who do it. In which case there would be a conflict of interest, and how do you explain that?
Absolutely. So this came up, this was one of the first cases which came up over cow slaughter in the Supreme Court in the early 1950s, when a whole group of butchers, about 3,000 of them, got together, and they were mostly illiterate. So you can imagine how difficult, and there was no WhatsApp or email either. And they petitioned the Supreme Court that if you prohibit cow slaughter, then what happens to our livelihood? So it is, in fact, so there is a right to a profession, and which is a fundamental right, which is should come higher up. But what does the court say? That no, it's not really. It sends the Kasais home and say no, it upholds the prohibition on cow slaughter. So there have been. But let me give you another example because you spoke about trade and profession. So in Rishikesh and certain Haridwar, I could be mistaken. Haridwar, Rishikesh.
Mumbai, that's fine. UP.
Sorry, selling eggs apparently was found to be offensive to vegetarians, and this was way back in the 1970s, 1980s. And there was a bylaw passed that egg sellers shall not sell eggs, and meat will not be sold in restaurants. And when this was challenged by restaurant owners who were selling roadside anda vanda, the court says no, there has to be a vegetarian atmosphere in these pious places. So it's not just enough to be a vegetarian. But
so when our esteemed Chief Minister of the above-mentioned state closed the meat shops and meat restaurants, etc. in Mathura, he was well within his. If you look at it clinically from a legal point of view, he was well within his right. He didn't need to go into parliament, to state parliament, and have a law created.
This was a bylaw, which I just mentioned, but several states have in fact prohibited cow slaughter. I think mostly the BJP-led ones, which also impacts nutrition.
Even as your worst student, you don't need to, really, that's the one thing we did learn in school, finally, come on.
Sorry, I feel something wrapped on my knuckles. Okay.
I can't believe that secularism is down to, it's almost like comical, that it's down to this, whether you're pro-cow or anti-cow. I mean, if God is up there looking at it laughing, it's just ridiculous. It really is stupid.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I tell you what, we have to take a break, Priya. Sorry, because there's a sponsor who may come at some point, and we'll bring in Silvery. This is the young India, because he's under 30, and that's like 50% of India now. So he's the India who has to ask questions about the constitution, because they're the ones who haven't read it. I read it.
But I still feel you don't need to read it. I mean, you don't really need to read it, but I think you need
just
to
the salient features. As they used to write in the civics book. I like everything shorthand. Hamlet in 7 lines. Okay, uncle, mother, this, that, boom, boom, can't make up his mind, gone over. You don't have to go through the whole play.
No, I can't remember the last time I heard the word salient. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Salient?
No, it's a beautiful word, because exactly that. In our very school, there were different, one teacher would say salient, one would say salient. And then we were divided like cow, pro-cow and anti-cow. Are you salient or are you salient? Who cares? You don't understand. It wasn't about the pronunciation. It's about the constitution, which has been ignored.
Yeah.
And the right to freedom, really.
Remember the days when our granny used to narrate once upon a time stories? Let's bring back the good old days of moral stories with Storytime Tamil. Hi, I am Ravishankar Balachandran, host of Storytime Tamil podcast. I would like you to entertain and educate your children with stories from Storytime Tamil. Tune in to the new episode sharp at 7 p.m. every day on IVM website, IVM podcast app, YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Okay, let's bring him in. Silvery, young man. He's got beautiful hair. It's all natural.
Hello.
Oh.
Happy
Hi.
Independence Day. Hi. Happy Independence
Hi,
Day.
hello.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
trying to be funny, but
Yeah, I'm noticing.
Yeah, why not?
I'll just shake my coffee protein mug and
Yep.
the right to
Sure.
protein. Hey, Silvery, can you name? Without googling, can you name the fundamental rights that you
Right
have?
to life, speech.
Yeah, go for it.
Speech is not full. There's like 3-4 things. Yeah,
Housing,
that's your profession.
right?
So
Right to housing. Housing is the right, isn't it?
housing. What do you
Like,
expect? What do you think
right to
this is?
roof. Oh, yeah,
Germany?
Right to
Angela
water and
Merkel?
food.
This
Right,
is India.
right to
You're lucky.
practice any
I
religion you
love
want.
the housing, but I love the
Housing.
expectation. I love
This
the
is the elite.
expectation.
Yeah,
No, you see my point about
It's
India and Mumbai.
entitlement.
Mumbai is so disconnected. He thinks we're getting housing from this government. You're not getting onion, bhai.
Right to
Pyas
religion.
nahi milega, pyas.
Right to so life,
Chaos. Okay.
religion, food and water, right? To survive, if I'm not wrong.
I like the survive bit, just to survive.
This is your best comedy routine so far. You do this in stand-up. How
Oh,
I
right
had
to
no
live.
friggin'...
Right to
You
live
said
wherever
life
you want
4
in India.
times. You can't... What are you changing the tense? You can't say
You,
life.
should,
and
you
then
shouldn't
live.
be checking answer scripts, Cyrus, because they do this so often when you're checking answer scripts. Where
No,
he
and
feels
look
so
at his-
alag alag.
His cunning mind, yeah, exactly the same point. I would say right to not die, which is again the same point. Mr. Silvery.
So though I should say though, like it seems like that when I was younger, right? Like laws seem to be a lot more common sense. You know what I mean? Like, okay, ये नहीं करना चाहिए तो arrest हो जाओगे. Now it seems like you have to read into things a lot more. Like you can get arrested for a lot more things than when I was.
Well, the one that you mucked up slightly, I think Priya will correct me, is a right to freedom of thought, expression, faith, and worship. Now, there again is a little amalgam of everything. So when a Munawar Farooqi is performing, he has the right to freedom, but someone will say he's affecting my worship. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little. What do you say, Priya? A lot of grey area also.
Grey area which the government is allowed to sort of become really murky and but again I wanted to say something funny. I'm trying to be funny now, which is that you said that
but never set it up. It never works when you set it up. I tried. I was like, guys, I've got a joke and nobody laughed. But if you just say it, sometimes it works. Yeah. Go ahead, but no pressure.
Damn. Okay, I'm making notes how to be a comedian, which is that
from us. Oh, God. Oof.
Where it was very clear cut. Where it was very clear cut. ये करोगे तो ये सजा मिलेगी. Blah blah blah. But there was a amendment to the Aadhaar card act, to the Aadhaar card whatever management, and there's a particular penalty if you store Aadhaar card details. The penalty is 1 crore. So following the 2019 amendment to the Aadhaar card.
But what if you're a mochi, like what's it called, cobbler or something, or I mean your earnings.
I like how you picked up the mochi. What is the mochi? Why the mochi?
No, because I just gave my shoe to a mochi. I'm thinking he wouldn't have 1 crore, to
yeah,
pay
but would he be
government.
storing Aadhaar card data also?
He may. They all have phones and have access to data.
No. As in somebody else's, like a fiduciary.
Like
basically.
anyone else's. Even if one other person's Aadhaar data is on my phone, I can get charged, is what I say.
No. As in, if you store that data, so the amendment is
audit basically.
Oh, if you collect it, if you're someone who's collecting this data. Okay.
But if you collect it, but I thought the 1 crore penalty is absurd. Like,
it should have been crazy. 2. You're right, Priya. It should have been 2 crores. It was funny.
But maybe I should cross-check this. This does sound a little unreal. Yeah, I think I should cross-check this.
This whole Aadhaar card being forced, I mean, on one side they're trying to act like it is really going to make it easy and then take out everything else to make it easy. Why do we have to have any other document if it's a one-stop shop for everything?
Yeah.
Then it's not. Then for one thing, you bring the PAN card, the driving license, the passport kahan hai? I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, I have to carry everything everywhere. What's the point?
The Mumbai mayor just announced that just this past Saturday that it is now compulsory if you are going to the medical store to buy self-test kits.
Yeah, I see these Bombay walas are very alarmed with the mayor, I notice.
No, but Priya, why do you have to... Suddenly everybody's eyebrows go up, why do we have to show Aadhaar card when we're buying the test kit when we've all said do this at home so that we don't get into this whole, terrible thing because everybody's not suffering that badly. So just stay at home and get well. That was the whole idea. I would think. And then suddenly she just says that, and then people start getting more and more worried.
No,
So-
but do you have to show the Aadhaar card when you buy the RT-PCR test?
So
or
they
whatever
record it,
this?
no? That Priya Mirza,
Oh.
Aadhaar card number 82227713, and folks, that is her real number, so tap in, has bought 2 kits, in which case they can keep an eye on you saying, oh, they must have had COVID, then they'll come and check on you, whatever. Yeah,
Oh.
That's exactly the reason. Yeah.
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 So basically
They're
watching
saying-
every move, isn't it? And
Aadhaar
assuming...
doesn't make,
Assuming it to
having
be
the Aadhaar
cult-
doesn't make the government your father. I've been saying that, that's
Yeah.
been my, my riff wherever I go. They have to understand
Yeah.
that.
Father, in
All
what
lost.
sense?
It's just bad rhyme. I just thought it would work. Phrase. Sometimes these jokes sell. Sometimes the audience asks. When the audience asks you a question, you're finished as a comedian.
Yeah,
Because
truly,
that's the
truly.
worst reaction. Nothing can be worse. Right, Silvery? In what sense?
Yeah,
What do you mean by that? This suddenly kills the whole mood. How do you go with it? If they don't get it, it's fine. But if they say, in what sense? It's like you have to seriousify the whole situation from there.
Yeah, Cyrus
my God.
5. Oh, that's a new word. Nice.
Thank you. You can
Yeah.
use it.
I will.
You
I
want to get
will. Yeah.
you want to get closer to your students, and if they're in their 40s, this is the word to use.
I feel very alarmed because as I age rapidly, that my students now, all of them are born post 2000, and I can't imagine that sort of a world,
God,
Mm.
just the simple
Yeah,
words
I mean,
we
it
used to
starts-
use seem so archaic, like what I've just said
Yeah.
now. I love the word
Yeah.
butchered up growing up. I know in Delhi if they said it, but in Mumbai we used to use the word butchered in the 90s for like getting screwed or hammered or whatever. In every
Yeah.
context, I got butchered. Nobody ever uses that
Oh.
word. I use that word. My daughter looks at me like I'm mad. Like, what does that mean?
my generation still does. My generation
You
still
use
uses that
butchered?
word sometimes. Yeah.
I've never heard you
butchered.
use it, Silvery.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have to use every word in front of you, Cyrus, but
Mm.
I do use it.
Note, Cyrus, note. He doesn't use all his words. in
My
front of his
cousins in
support.
Delhi,
Yeah.
they used to use the yar a lot, okay, when we were growing up. Like yar
Oh,
in
that's
every
such a
sentence.
Delhi thing.
That's,
Yeah.
that's gone in
Yeah,
Delhi.
yar.
I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's still there.
With my generation, up to our generation, up to
Oh,
guys in
yeah.
there. You see the youngers don't go yar and all that. They would do yar in every sentence. You go to Delhi for the summer, you come back saying yar to everybody here. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
just
yeah.
one generation and then the next generation, you're like you don't belong. They just make you really feel
हाँ
that.
यार बात तो
नहीं
सच है
यार. Silvery,
Yeah.
are you a yar family?
I-
You must be having relatives in Delhi.
I say
Growing
yaar. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know.
No, but we don't say it the way they did, like a crutch. You're saying it once in a while. That even I say.
Yeah,
Everybody says
okay.
it.
and that's too
Yeah.
gentle also. It has to be yaar kya yaar it has
Kya
to be
yaar?
yeah
Yeah.
there you've got
Wasn't
it
there a
now,
time when everybody used yar at the end of the sentence? That was it
Yeah.
for everything.
yeah true
Oh, we miss those good days.
Yes, yaar, you're right. Yaar.
Yar. Shar.
So we talked a little about Munawar, and that leads to the question that so our judiciary, right? Like it keeps making these amazing speeches, like freedom of speech is good, and if you don't want to watch something, don't watch it. Like you're not forcing someone, nobody's forcing you to watch anything, and make like these amazing, properly well thought out, logical speeches. But oftentimes,
where you're
it seems
applauding
like-
the judgment, you're saying in
Yeah.
letter. In
radical
letter, you're-
stuff
in letter, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But in their judgments, it seems like they are not always following those their own principles.
In the
Because
written
they-
judgment.
In the written judgment, they're not following those things. But they'll like in their speeches to the thing, like the letter to the open media or something, they'll make like this is like remember when Arnab got
Believe
arrested?
in-
You
Yeah.
brought up Munawar
When
and
Arnab got
Priya.
arrested, exactly. So Munawar was in jail for like 30 days, and they were like,
42
no,
days.
this is
42 days.
that's
By
crazy.
count.
why 2 days? That
42
is insane.
days for something that
For a
was
joke, he
if
firstly he did not
no,
even
which
say.
was not done in Indore. So
Oh, correct.
technically by
Not
law,
done
I
at
spoke to
all.
a lot of lawyers about this. So
Yeah.
he was in Indore. He's not gone on stage and started. So he's not committed a crime. It's
Nothing,
anticipatory crime. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the crime that he may have committed in their eyes is from Mumbai, where it was shot.
Oh,
that
so what
video,
did he
whatever he's
do?
done.
Nothing.
they-
That
so
he
from
got
a point of view
arrested
of law,
just because
And he should not have been kept in Madhya Pradesh for 42 days in jail. He should have been sent to the Mumbai police and they accusing him of whatever he's done in terms of a show in Bombay, for which they didn't want him to perform in Madhya Pradesh. He
but
did not
that
perform,
also
Priya.
that was already a few months back. He had already taken that stuff down
No,
after
but
he got hit
I'm,
off that.
I'm giving
that's-
them as
that's
much
also
leeway
material.
as possible and saying, okay, then,
Yeah, correct.
this is the
correct.
best you could do
Right.
is bring him back.
Yeah.
And then, because at least in Bombay, Silvery, he would have got bail, I would think. That
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
government in
possibly.
power. A.
So the
Yeah.
joke is that
sorry,
the joke
please.
is that the Constitution grants us freedom of speech, but it doesn't grant us freedom after speech. So you can say whatever you like, but uske baad jo joote dande
That's
padenge.
beautiful.
There's no,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a beautiful
Like-
point, really. Yeah, freedom to bahut hai, bahut hai. Abhi jao jail. Straight.
Yeah. So I
Continue.
think courts.
Mr. Faruqi, one more joke, but inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
So I think
At least you have freedom to go to jail. That's a right.
yeah, except we're not so cheerful about it. But
Well,
yeah, I think it's an inconsistency.
Did Ambedkar and gang think about the fact that they lump these things together and they're contentious, freedom of expression, faith, worship, all coming together?
Freedom to
because
propagate religion, that's a constitutional right. I can propagate my
that is-
religion. Yeah,
Oh, really?
but
Wow.
yeah,
That's great.
Article 25, a conscience to propagate religion.
Yeah.
So it's
but I
perfect.
can't defile your religion. That must be there as well, right? Because everybody
Yes,
screams.
but you within a public order, all those reasonable restrictions are there. But it is constitutional to propagate religion, except there are states which have passed anti-conversion laws under which you cannot, in fact, lure people or bribe people to convert. But those
But I've
fundamental
always
rights.
been willing to convert for a price. Is that okay? Is that allowed? Like if one religion asks me
Under the
to
table
convert,
price. Yeah.
I'm like, done. I'm in.
So
this
your
is my new
conscience is
religion.
for sale? Great, that's
100%.
constitutional. Yeah.
I have a clear conscience about it. No worries. Yeah. I think it's the
Yeah.
perfect thing to do. They bought you.
Yeah.
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 It's good enough.
So lovely,
Okay.
isn't it? I'm a
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the last word,
redefining-
but last word about the freedom of expression, since it concerns us and you, of course, as a teacher and everything else, and a writer. What does the Constitution guarantee us as artists and writers and people who want to use the freedom of expression? Tell me honestly, what does it guarantee us?
Unfortunately, the Constitution can only guarantee, it's a text. It's our judiciary which has to uphold those, enforce those,
Right.
and it's been inconsistent there. I think that's what's truly alarming, that the courts have
Yeah.
been very inconsistent in whether the vision of the Constitution can be upheld or not, and that's what's really troubling. And plus, so it's led to the self-censorship, hasn't it? That you think twice before tweeting, or you think twice before tweeting a picture of the Chief Justice of India or any of that. So the constitutional provisions can stay, but eventually it is our institutions which are expected to uphold it. And in the absence of that, it's...
There is a simple way out of all this. Whoever comes to power, they amend the Constitution overnight and put in their 10 bullet points saying, now you can't abuse our religion, you cannot say this, that, and the other. And then it's their way or the highway, and we just accept it, and there's no freedom of expression. I'm okay with that
so
also.
much
Once you know
easier.
the rules. Because
Yeah,
you're not
you
going to
know
go.
what's what.
The thing is, they
true.
fool us into thinking we're free. You see, once
Yeah.
you go to North Korea, you're not going to Kim Jong-un. You're not going to do that. I mean, that's the way you say his name.
That's true.
But,
That's
you won't do that.
Yeah. So that's
it's
the
just
alternative, right, Cyrus? Ki
Then
bata
Munawar
do
Faruqi
ki-
won't. No, he'll
yeah.
become a dancer or something. He'll be like, okay, I can't do this. This is pointless. Because while you guys are in power, and then I'll wait for maybe somebody else. Of course, they'll have
A
their
few
own problems in the
decades,
next government. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Silvery is
I
going
hope
to stand
not.
for elections. He's had
Oh.
enough.
Yeah.
He wants the
Exactly.
youngsters to
I'm
take
next.
over with a new party.
Prime
What about
Minister
your
Untitled
Delhi?
Chapter? Yes,
You're
any
the
day.
gentleman from Delhi who's run off to Goa. He just likes the weather there.
I'm guessing, yeah. But you see how the ruling party is affecting other parties as well, right? Everybody is
Yeah.
chanting the same sort of hymns and
It's
echoing
like how,
what-
No, it's like what happened to the weddings. The Punjabification, as I call it. The moment the weddings
yeah.
became bigger and bigger, now you go any part of India, you go to the poorest person in a village in any part of India, they have the wedding they can't afford. It's the same thing now. Everybody's rhetoric is the same. You're right. It
Mhm.
doesn't
And
matter.
it's the
They
same
come to
dance
power.
moves everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and the same comedians. I work for everyone. It's like the moment the call comes, sir, come budget hai. That's the first line before they even say my name. It just goes together. Wonderful feeling, Priya. You feel so proud of yourself. It's in the Constitution.
Yeah. Another thing we should talk about is the Central Vista project.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Priya? Like, is that the project, is it going to be a good thing? Should it not have happened only, or should we have waited for it?
I would love a parliament, build a great parliament, as long as you guys do your job. But why build a parliament
they
if
don't
you're
attend,
not going
so
to
then why? If you're not attending, what hurry to build a parliament?
Nobody's gonna-
Build a fantastic parliament. Go for it. But what are you going to do with that room? Sit in it and stare at the walls? No, I think parliaments are meant for people to get together and deliberate. That's not happening. So I really don't know what that it's being built for. Plus, when there were petitions challenging it, there were environmental concerns of public spaces. It was, rejected, the petition, and wasn't really heard. So I think increasingly citizens feel that they're no longer really part of governance or government because, and it's sad. And I pass it every time I go to college. My college is where I teach is close to CP. So it's looks disastrous and I can't imagine.
Oh. Now you're getting into aesthetics. That's not even like a criticism. It's another topic altogether. We were discussing
badly designed. Yeah.
Exactly. Utility product here. Yeah. Wow.
But,
I mean, who's going to even question the aesthetics, honestly? Yeah. This is low-hanging expectations here.
No, but there are some really good, well-designed government buildings like in Chandigarh, the Chandigarh High Court and all, or Kabusia design.
Don't compare Chandigarh to Delhi, firstly.
What
I
design?
know, but I'm saying like
What
Kabusia.
The French guy who we can't pronounce. Okay.
Correct.
It's not racism.
Yeah.
That's just you don't want to disrespect his daughter who might be holidaying somewhere in Goa with Kejriwal. Not like together, but in the same place.
Kejriwal ke piche kyun pad gaye ho? I'd like to know.
Well, I don't know why he did it. I was his biggest fan till he did this third lockdown in Delhi. I was like, why? Why did
the weekend curfew. This weekend curfew.
The weekend curfew, the restaurant shut. I have friends there. They're really angry. And you fooled us the first two times, and they all laughed at Uddhav Thackeray and Maharashtra. And this time we were the ones who were, just wink, nudge, and actually, right, Silvery, we've sort of had an okay lockdown or whatever you want to call it. We've all managed everything. I go visit my girlfriend. It's not a big issue. Just kidding. Yeah. Constitution has said freedom of expression. Faith, worship, girls. It's all written.
Who talks about fidelity? It's not in the constitution.
Fidelity.
Right?
I mean, really, should that really come up? I mean, genocide and other things. I mean, really, what the hell? Who cares? So when I talk about put my hand up for parking issues or fidelity, just get lost, sir, please. Kaveri waters to discuss right now. Big issues. Yeah.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Varun is joined by Alex Dweck of NAS Academy. They discuss creators becoming educators. On Misconduct, Raghavi and Nisha look into the defamation suit against controversial actress Kangana Ranaut. On Audio Gyan, Kedar speaks to industrial designer Sharat Chauhan. They discuss designing home appliances. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth explains the difference between two kinds of campaigns, awareness building and brand building. And on Hans Vani, hear how two cancer patients fall in love in the story Grey Shades. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. And also remember, you can check out a lot of our stuff on YouTube. Go to ivmpodcast.com/YouTube and you'll get a list of all the various channels that we do have. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Bank of Baroda and CoinSwitch Kuber. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
Okay, let's get a couple of AMAs in.
Yes.
Because Priya's time is valuable. She has to correct papers. Priya, as a teacher, are you? Do you believe in favoritism? Because
absolutely, I have my favorites. I don't pretend to be.
Lovely.
Impartial. I just know
so like pass karna
hai, kisko fail.
I ever taught kids at any level. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But as long as you've taught kids for a period of time, there's no way you can't have favorites and non-favorites. I don't think it's possible for you to be secular and egalitarian in a class like that with children.
So secular I am. True, secular I am, but...
No, secular on the point of racism and all that. Obviously, you're not that. I mean, firstly, only a buffoon behaves like that. Oh, you are not from my religion. I will not teach you. I mean, come on.
I will not teach you. I like that. I will not
No, but you're the obnoxious kid. Like, I always like the loudmouths for some reason. I empathize with them. I don't know why. I hate the goody-goody kids. I've always had a problem because, I can't stand them.
I think
the class monitor
the audacious ones are actually nice.
No. Were either of you ever the class monitor in your class?
No, we used to make the class monitor the guy we could bully. This lovely guy called
Oh.
Riaz. I remember he was so happy when we all chose him, and then we used to smack him around, and and we were like,
Okay.
Riaz, do our homework,
Yeah.
and it was a terrible job. Sweet guy, yeah. That's what we have with the government, though. That's what we wanted to do. Suddenly we have a government telling us what to do. We're not used to this, man.
Yeah.
We were like, calling up the chief minister, like, bro, I want pizza right now.
With
By
extra
the way, I heard a
cheese.
story about our CM, and that he's so scared in this third lockdown that he got rid of the driver and the bodyguards. But they have to follow from a distance. He self drives, air conditioned car
Oh.
on his own, in and out. Yeah.
This is like
With his
rumors or it's
masks.
like verified
Huh.
No,
information?
it's more or less got it from people who are working there. So it's more or less
You're very
correct.
connected, Cyrus.
Not really. The kind of people I know, they just open gates. I mean, not in a symbolic way. Yeah.
Dwar
So-
kholo, not in that sense.
I just feel as a leader, you set a certain, there's a symbolicism. It's like being a brand ambassador. So I would like the leader in the pandemic to have chest out, shoulders broad, telling people not to worry, that old take it on the chin sort of attitude and positive, more Churchillian, if I dare say so. And then I get some of our leaders and around the world who are sort of covering and, they're worried all the time. And what bad body language that is. And you're the leader. Imagine if you're a wolf pack and the alpha is in front going, oh God, mood mein nahi hai, yaar mein nahi jayega. Tu jana bela. Bada hai, dekh, yaar, bakra is a goat. So I don't know. I'm just sorry about the
I
analogy.
love
but,
that, yes.
I shouldn't teach. So you have
No,
favorites.
No, I don't know what the right thing to say is, but yeah, I like most of my students, but I really like the ones who are audacious and who challenge you and treat you badly. Those are the ones who really make you work harder.
And they wake you up. Otherwise, it's boring for you also beyond a point. Sometimes. not
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
And of
But
course,
yeah, I
kids
know.
who I like literature, history growing up, and all those subjects. I would always put my hand up, pay attention, talk, and the teacher would like you because they could see there's a zest and a zeal and enthuse and all that.
Yeah,
And then there's
those
subjects you
Z
don't like,
words, yes.
the Z
Zest and
words,
zeal,
yeah.
yeah.
But I can't do more than that. Yeah. Besides, I come from Maharashtra, so it becomes J anyway. I feel
You
not
get zeros in the test. And you get zeros
Josh
in the
Junoon
test.
Jesh. It's the same feeling. God, what have we done to
just
freedom of
bath.
expression?
Yeah.
This is why they shouldn't
yeah.
allow us to have freedom of expression. Look at us. It's terrible. The things we say and how we
Oh,
say
you're
it.
having too much fun, right? No.
Yeah.
Terrible. We should remember our duties and think about that.
I'm planning on calling Munawar for a birthday party. Just to be thumb a nose to the government. Everybody hires him. Can you imagine? It's like a revolution, mini revolution. For small things.
Yeah.
It's my daughter's second birthday. There are 3 people in the room. We hire him. It's like that. एक ही joke सुनाओ बस ज्यादा नहीं हाँ, वो
Tell
वाला,
me
वो
that
वाला.
joke only. That
Yeah,
joke you got arrested for. That one joke.
Don't joke about that, Silvery. You're next.
Yeah.
But don't worry, in Mumbai we have lawyers.
Okay. AMAs.
AMAs.
Okay. All right. The first AMA comes in from Gaurav Fadke. He says, "Hey Cyrus and dear guest. Hope Silvery takes my question, even though I'm not Kashin Shetty or Harvesh Pakasad or Wet Girish Patil. Love the show. My question is, so those are our regulars, Priya.
The poor
and,
Priya, she
she
pretend to
asked
be
a lot
really
of questions.
Wow, yeah, these are great feminist writers of the 19th
Yeah.
century. She grew up with. Yeah.
Damn, I
Girish
missed
Patils. Yeah.
Yeah.
What he did to Victorian England is still such a charm. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, Gaurav says, my question is, politics, I'm sure you'll agree, can be a major pain in the brain. Do you think there are any good politicians in India at all that we should be looking out for or giving more attention to? Also, isn't it sad that we can think of bad or corrupt politicians more easily than good ones? What went wrong? So do you think there are any good
Well,
ones?
here's my fear. The ones I liked in BJP, they've been removed. Javadekar, for
Who's
example.
that?
There were a couple of decent guys, and okay, Ravi Shankar Prasad. He's not. There have been a couple of. You can sort of relate to them. Look, we got to do what we got to do. But in the younger lot, I'm such a big fan of Sachin Pilot, and I was really hoping that one day he'd hold a better position. But he's not been allowed to run the state which he actually runs. I mean, it starts there. So God, those people need rehauling, and perestroika and glasnost has to happen in that party. For God's sake, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
It
So there
does.
is
I
this
think they're really struggling. They just seem to be struggling with that, isn't it?
Yeah, but we've got what is that young lady from Cal who's always outspoken in
Maua.
Parliament?
Yes, I was just
Moitra.
thinking about her. Yeah.
Maua.
Yeah, so it's not like we don't have reasonable faces and interesting people and people you can relate to, etc., etc. In all the parties, actually, there are. It's not like there are softer liners, slightly more centrist or leftist, if you like, sort of thinkers, so you feel more safe. But having said that, what Priya
Well,
said, I
actually,
think
I'm
is the
struggling. I'm really struggling to think of a politician who I really, I think, at the cost of annoying you, Cyrus, I think Arvind Kejriwal comes close. Somebody
no,
who
I'm
has
a big
had a.
Arvind Kejriwal fan. You're not understanding, Priya. I'm a
Oh, no,
big
I'm
fan of
not.
his.
Explain, please.
I'm just irritated with the third thing, this wave where he's gone the other
Acha,
way
bus.
suddenly.
That's it. That's it. That's
That's it.
your.
Otherwise,
Oh,
look, I
okay.
spent a lot of time in Delhi pre-pandemic also, and I talked to rickshaw drivers, I talked to the guys at the hotel, I talked to guys we work with, lower income guys as well, a lot of them. I'm not even, there's no point talking to anybody else anyway. They love the guy for what he's done in terms of education or
Mhm.
what he's done in terms of the girl child, their water, bijli, khana, all that. So he's definitely, people have understood that this guy is actually trying. I would think that
Yeah.
it's difficult to, if there's a competition, he's as good as there is in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
I want to know
think,
why
yeah.
he suddenly went into a shell and got worried when all along he's been progressive, and even you need to be a little aggressive under pressure, I would think, and he was that in a good way aggressive, not aggressive physically like that, but aggressive about the pandemic. Like, we will manage, we will do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
A
Delhi
lot
was,
of reaching out, talking to people. Yeah.
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 So then suddenly he went into a shell, and now he's run off to Goa, more interested in his regional politics in Goa, Punjab, etc., and whatever. While Delhi shut, I didn't like that. Don't shut Delhi. You
Yeah.
can't shut Delhi. Delhi has to stay
From,
open. Delhi, Mumbai, cities that should never shut. I just don't want them shut. Not allowed.
yeah, maybe you could send him a message, but I do think Arvind Kejriwal is one of the better politicians we have around. And I also feel it is not so hard to be a good legislator. One just needs to have a good sense, but that seems to be sorely lacking. So I don't think it's a question of corruption or all of that. I think to me, it seems to be a fairly easy thing to do, to come up with well-reasoned
And maybe they also
laws.
follow
But
party whip sometimes and not think for themselves, where they
yeah,
would
true.
know what the right thing to do
Yeah,
is. A lot of
yeah.
people in the deep down feeling bad that they're doing some things, but following a party whip,
Mm,
not mentioning parties' names.
yeah,
And that,
yeah, yeah.
also that's a
Yeah.
test of character, I guess. But cowardice is not the worst thing in the world. You understand that the person didn't, you know what I mean. Anyway, I
Yeah,
give up.
yeah.
I'm going to Australia. Well, I can't go to Australia
When is
because they'll
that?
say, I can't.
With
I
your
mean, they don't.
girlfriend, or what's
No,
happening?
no girlfriend. What girl? There's no girl alive who'll come with me anywhere. But let me tell you something. After they didn't let Novak in, I'm upset with them as well. I think it was just ridiculous, not letting him play.
Why? I think it was all right. I mean, what's the
Why
problem
make a
with?
big deal out of it? Quietly just put him in. They don't have to make such a big deal out of it. Then obviously they have to stop him, right? Because he's such a high-profile figure. Think about sports. He's not giving anybody anything. He's living in some big penthouse apartment with his 20 helpers and then playing on an open court in Australia, winning the tournament, going back.
Sure, any other day, yes. But I think I was irritated with the fact that he messed up his records and he was irresponsible. I think that just doesn't hold. And he has a history of doing that.
I thought that was so Indian. He's like an influential fellow. He went to Spain in the middle. He came back. I'm not vaccinated. And then
Yeah, it was an error of judgment that I tested COVID positive and I was hanging out with other people without my mask. Haan, kar diya, theek hai, chalega. That sort of a thing.
Yeah, I've been doing this all the time. I've had 5-6 bouts of COVID. I just carry on.
No wonder you support him. That explains everything. Yeah.
That's why I'm disappointed with Kejriwal. I thought he was one of us. ये COVID कुछ नहीं है. कुछ नहीं, muffler पहन के जाओ. And that's it. I thought that was the code. Very disappointing.
No, we take it too seriously.
But also in his party, there's a guy called Mr. Chadda, Raghav Chadda, who we interviewed during the 2019 election. I loved him. He was superb.
They have a good team.
I'm saying for us personally to relate to, because sometimes, the guy who's talking to you, you just can't understand where he comes from or what he's saying beyond a point. And I'm not
But my question is, why is that important? A legislator
It is
has
important
to
because
legislate.
I agree. Yes, the surface is not so important, but sometimes it's nice to see that people like us there. You know what I'm saying? I say Raghav Chadda and I say, okay, that's me. He's from my...
He's
we
fair,
are,
he's Punjabi, quite good looking, yes.
It's just that our class of people have disappointed us by not taking a stand in politics. And when a Raghav Chadda is there, or even a Kejriwal to that extent, you sort of understand because their backgrounds are not that dissimilar from ours. And what their parents did and where we come from and what we do. So in a sense, that path is the same. So, you have that little...
so you basically feel that liberal India is not taking part in politics. Is that your...
No, I think poor India and super rich, influential, nepotistic India sucks and they should be fired. And we should let the Raghav Chaddas come to power.
Okay.
Who will represent us.
Okay.
Clean
very,
thinking,
very
new
fair.
guys who are not tainted by a system. Once they enter, they seem to all get tainted. I'm sure many of them came into the system with wild...
ambitions.
Zeal. Can I use zeal again? I can't use zeal again. No. You'll get angry. You'll walk out of class. Yeah, I don't want that. No, not on my conscience.
Me walk out of my own class? No chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you shout at the students and do you punish them?
Of course not. I'm a
Oh.
college lecturer. I'm not.
I don't know what it's like anymore. I left in 93, 94. This is the last time I saw a college. Okay, I went to law college for a year. So 96.
Oh, we saw that assistant professor today morning, throwing those papayas from the.
Oh, right.
Oh, was she an assistant professor? Oh my God.
Turns out,
The
so I didn't
papaya
mention that.
woman? The papaya
Yeah, the
woman's
papaya-
a teacher?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. That's right.
Yeah,
India's
teacher,
answer to Wonder Woman. That's absolutely right. You got it spot on. Priya. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. From your
My
own fraternity.
God, so she's giving
Yeah.
academics a bad name. Now I'm
Yep,
really
yep.
upset.
That's
Okay.
it, yeah.
I was okay with
And-
this, but now
And
I'm
she
really
teaches
angry.
therapy and mental, yoga and mental functioning and all that. How to make yourself
Oh.
spiritually inclined and better.
I see, lots of things about her, apart from the
But
fact that
apparently, her lawyer.
That's Cyrus in
explained
disguise.
she doesn't hate the fruit wala. She hates papaya. So it was her angst against the fruit itself, which is a stand someone had to take.
It's
It's
papaya.
highly
But doesn't
overrated
it tell you
fruit.
how normalized violence is and how
Yeah.
normalized crappy behavior is and just being a bigot and throwing
Priya, may I
papayas around at
confess,
people?
I've done exactly what she's done, and that's why I told the boys in the morning when we recorded that. I half told them the truth, like a confession. I don't think Silvery behaves like that. He's just well brought up,
No, I don't.
and I don't know if Amit does it, but I know there are people like me, and Delhi has plenty of them. I get into a fight with someone, I get really aggressive like this, and then I'd probably throw the first papaya, and then it dawns on me that I'm behaving like a boor. It's like that.
Oh.
And it's happened many times. In fact, it's very difficult to disengage at that point because you're abused and screamed and all that. But you immediately. So this woman went into she went worse and worse. There were breaks and then she threw more papayas. There were breaks, she threw more papayas. Then she
Yeah.
threw the cart. It was like Amitabh Bachchan in the 80s ending the fight. It was like destroyed
Is there a
everyone. and the
video? Are
cart
you
goes
sure there's a
flying.
video about this, or are you making?
You
Yeah,
gotta
there is
see
a
it.
video.
We will send it
Okay,
to you.
I will
It's
just-
worth seeing. You want to see it now?
मैं नहीं देखूंगी पक्का
हाँ, take it.
देखूंगी।
We'll send it to you.
30 seconds. Okay. We'll see it later. Yeah.
30 सेकंड
So-
में फेंका भी काट भी ऊपर कर दिया मतलब उल्टा कर
Oh,
दिया
no, they
वाह।
cut paste. They cut paste. It's a little longer, obviously, the interaction. But
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
saying that it's possible, or a lot of us lose our tempers and lose our shape. Let's say we lose our shape and misbehave. But when we sort
Very
of realize
poetic. Yeah.
this sports usage, cricket, tennis, football, they use phrases like you're losing your shape.
Oh.
Where you lose your rhythm is gone, and then you just look, wrong.
And
everything.
composure, right? That's what it means.
Yeah.
Like losing.
Yeah,
your
you're the
composure,
teacher.
yeah.
You teach me, master. Teach me kung fu. And when you say this line
Yeah.
in time-honored tradition, you must always say it in staccato. Master, teach me kung fu. It doesn't go up or down. If it goes up or down, you're lying.
Oh.
Then you're
And
not.
someone
master
remind me of
artist.
Bruce Lee. Did he also talk like this? Not that I.
Actually, Bruce Lee was not the worst actor. His dialogue delivery now is great, but a lot of noises. On another day, I can teach you. I'm a big, huge Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I'm
a lot
willing
of
to
those-
learn. Master, I'm willing to learn.
Oh, that sounds wrong, Priya.
Yeah, it sounds very wrong.
Sounds really wrong. This is not the kind of podcast those listening. Sylvie, carry on, please.
No,
Save
I'm
the
just
day.
saying, quick thing.
Uh.
Apparently, a lot of those Bruce Lee sounds were added in post. That
Acha.
wasn't even his voice doing that. Apparently,
I don't
Why did they
think,
add those?
No. I don't think
That was
that's
like-
I don't think that's true.
I've
He's
read this
famous for the
I'll look
the
this up
animal
again,
sounds he's
but I'm
famous
pretty sure
for.
this-
and it's coming from the gut and all. There's no way they would have added post later. Oh, they may have redubbed it, but not. It's his
Oh.
voice. It's his voice.
Acha.
Yeah.
I know nothing
Yeah.
about this, so I'm just listening. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But I
Uh,
don't throw students out of class and I don't yell at them. But yeah, I can be a little grim and serious. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. It's required for effective teaching. Yes.
I would just think that we've learned nothing about the Constitution from you today.
I've noticed. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I
That's
have
because I
noticed.
asked
This is
the wrong
exactly
questions.
what.
We've
Yeah,
learned
this is
about
exactly
Bruce
how
Lee.
I don't do my
that's
classes.
that's what papayas and Bruce Lee is what people are going to take back from the show. And yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah,
Papaya woman, yes.
and I've got all these lovely notes written in, and haven't had any time to just talk about
Sorry.
that.
Are you kidding me? Why did
Yeah,
you
should I?
just jump into them?
Should I just show you? See, look,
Yeah, show us.
ta-da.
My
This is
God.
yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
Ouch.
Dekho, I'm a very serious person, but at your show, I'm a giggling idiot. So thank you, Cyrus.
No, you're not. You're not. We'll
Yeah,
call you
but
back then.
everybody's-
The notes can't be wasted. It'll be like demonetization. We will call
No,
you
I'll put it
back.
into my podcast. No,
Yeah,
it'll
absolutely,
go.
of
It'll be
course.
used. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
will
yeah.
put a rider saying these guys wasted my time. So this is actually from that podcast. Yeah. And next time you want to discuss papayas being
Yeah.
flung, please find another podcast. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and for all Gambhir constitutional matters and our decaying parliamentary procedures, listen to the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think never before in the history of the world, or rather India, has the necessity to understand the constitution or try to gain some knowledge about who you are vis-a-vis state and who the state is vis-a-vis you, rights and duties, all that. This is the time. And sadly, people are still not questioning, putting their hand up and saying, what does the government offer me and what do I offer the government, or rather the country? Let's leave the government.
But you can't blame the people when they do protest. They're told that you can't protest. So, the anti-CA protest.
If they take away the right to strike, as you have mentioned in this lovely podcast of ours, I have to quit the country. This is not, that is a fundamental right. I hate strikes. We all hate strikes, but no, you said they'll punish them, which is taking away the right.
Yeah, true. But
why would I strike if you're going to put me in jail immediately? No, the right to strike is that you're striking. You're making a point as a lobby.
Yeah, true. But the whole point is that if you quit the country, then that's exactly what all of us do all the time, right? Yeah. So I've heard this so often. I'm leaving the country. I'm done with this lynching and this hate speech. I can't live here anymore. But then that's what's
those of us who are lucky enough to afford a ticket on Air India, but not via America because of the 5G issue. Stop at the Balkans and figure it out from there. I'll swim.
Yeah, but I don't think that should be an option. I think the point is to raise questions and make some. I don't know really.
People of India, we must ask more questions. How can we just keep saying yes
I must
to everything?
put this. So question hour element, a key feature of parliamentary practice has been done away with. Question hour.
No question hour?
Yes, no question
hour. That's the time when the MPs ask each other ki kal kahan tha?
Bilkul. So accountability people in power are, just like dismantling mechanisms of accountability. So where does one go if there's no question hour? So no question hour.
Scary than we're being flippant about it, but it's far more scary.
It is.
Question hour is very important because that's almost like interrogation for the governing to accept their bouquets and brickbats together.
So you cannot ask the Prime Minister questions at a press conference because he doesn't hold press conferences. But now you cannot ask questions to ministers in Parliament because.
Well, that's just. What is that? Yeah. Teachers are more democratic, and you guys are a fine lot to talk. I'm just kidding.
I don't know where that's going, but okay.
I'm very pro-teacher. I'm just being funny.
Pro-teacher? That sounds like some probiotic or, something to eat.
You got to be either pro-teacher or anti-teacher. I'm very pro-teacher because I think they're highly underpaid people for the work they do, first and foremost. And a few of them are really fine minds.
I guess you're referring to me. Yes, thank you.
Of course, I 100% am. And you are. And you know that. You don't need my validation to know that you're a fine mind.
Of course I do. That's why I'm here. Cyrus, tell me.
India would be a better place. I guarantee you that right now, if you were in a position of power. Yeah, I wish we would collect sometimes the intellectuals of India and say, okay, come on, now show us your spirit. Go and govern.
Yeah.
And maybe one item number because you got to mix it up.
Yeah. True. Janta ko bhi khush rakhna hai na. Yeah, true.
By that, what do you mean? Janta as in people or? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think we should disengage. We quit while we're ahead. Priya has lots to do. Sure. Minds to teach. And she's failed here. But she won't in her podcast.
I see that Silvery is used to your horror.
All right, I will see you guys.
I'm going to see Priya. I provoke him as much as I can, so he's nasty because he's too nice to me.
Yeah, he's very nice.
Yeah, he's never nasty. But behind my back, he must be because he must be a lot of goodness now.
Yeah.
But this was a good session, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And
our pleasure.
Yeah.
And we'll do justice to your knowledge the next time by getting more, questions. Make a lot more sense. And let's talk about fruit. Yeah,
bilkul. But I want to watch that video. Yes, totally am. Yeah.
Shall we end with a quote from Bruce Lee?
Which is?
You disrespect my family.
I thought that's what you got to say.
Then your line, Silvery.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, sorry. That's why
I just racist. Not like that.
You disrespect my family. So please, repeat. So can you repeat,
disrespect my family and you disrespect the Shaolin Temple. Then the fight
Shaolin
starts.
Temple. We didn't talk about
temples. We put family first. Where we come from, family first.
No. We put temples first. India puts temples first.
Well played. Last word to you. 6. Well done. Well done, Priya. I must say, you're ready for comedy. I'm not ready for teaching, but you're ready for comedy. Yeah.
Happens occasionally.
This is what they've done to academics in this country. This is what they've done to you guys. You had no choice.
Yeah, to be stand-up comedians. But yeah. Okay. But yes.
Okay.
Lovely chatting with you. Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.
Tata.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you. We need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
सफर, रास्ते, मंजिल और मुकाम अक्सर ये हमसे कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, पर हम हैं कि अपनी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में इन्हें सुनने से कतराते हैं। नमस्ते दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है केशव चतुर्वेदी और मैं आपको ले चलूंगा कुछ ऐसे सफर पर जहां आपको एक नया नजरिया मिलेगा सफर और मंजिलों को देखने का। आइए इन किस्से कहानियों में डूब जाएं, हर मंगलवार और शुक्रवार।
Habits? Routines? How exactly do they help us get better? Well, to simplify it for you, tune in to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashton Doctor and I'm going to be here to help you get better daily with some simple, easy to do habits that you can easily adapt to your life. So tune in to the Habit Coach podcast from Monday to Friday because I believe that awesome lives start with awesome habits.